Hello and welcome to the Lifestyle Freedom. Thank you so much for being here. Clark is your host for today. Next, let me introduce you to Neil Napier. He will walk you through exactly how he was able to generate with the 60-minute webinar framework, $221,987 last month. So, stay tuned to learn how to create your webinar income machine.
Hey there, this is Neil Napier and welcome to this session today. So you're watching this because you want to see exactly how we structure our webinars that generate impeccable results, exactly how we build out both webinars and auto webinars that continue to generate revenue month after month, even when we have done all the work early on. So depending on where you're watching in from, let me know what part of the world you're in, what's the weather like where you are. Do note that this chat may not be monitored at the moment, or I may not be able to respond to everyone because of the number of messages that we often get on these sessions. But rest assured, I'll read everything and my team and I will get back to you to make sure that you have everything you need to successfully run webinars. So in this case, I'm going to give you our 60-minute webinar framework that will hopefully help you generate money the way it did for us. So just last month alone, we did $221,987 after running a promotion for 7 days for a new product that we went public with. And the goal today is to show you how to build these webinars for yourself as well in under 60 minutes. And just to prove that, you can see over here our results. And after refunds and everything were done, we were left with slightly lower amount, but as you can tell, it was a pretty good amount still. And I'm not the only one. A good friend of mine, Ankur Shukla, uses webinars quite often. Him and I talked about running webinars a few years ago, and he started doing it last year. And in 2019, he generated $231,000 with one webinar offer alone. That's just one webinar. He ran that a few times. Then he also had an auto webinar that he created on the side, and that did $134,000 from all the leads, all the traffic that he was generating. So by doing this, Ankur was in a position to generate great revenue with all the campaigns that he was running using webinars. And Ankur is not an exception to the rule. There are a lot of people, 6, 7, 8-figure marketers who use webinars to create an income that helps them lead a good life. And the framework that we're going to focus on today is called the Triple E framework. Each E stands for something specific. I'll show you that in a little bit. But as long as you follow this Triple E framework, you will be in a position to sell anything without appearing overly salesy. You'll be able to guide people, direct people to make a purchase without having to hold their hand along the way. So I hope this is something that you want to learn today, because our goal today is to help you implement this framework in your business as well. But let's talk about the framework itself. Is it actually useful for you? Should you be using it? Now, if you're one of those people that likes to help other people improve their lives, then this framework is good for you. So if you're one of those people that wants to genuinely make a positive change in someone else's life, you will be able to use this framework. And if you are willing and open to share what you know with other people, then this framework is good for you as well. So if you're one of those people that feels like, oh, I don't want to tell other people what I know, I'm going to take it to my deathbed, this is not going to work for you. This framework relies on you being open, on you being generous with the knowledge that you have. And the third and the most important point here is that you need to be excited about the prospect of success for yourself and your customer. Now, I'm a capitalist myself, which means that I look to generate revenue with anything that I do in my business. That's how it should be. So it is important to me that I make money, but it is equally important to me that my prospects, my customers make money with my help, because when they do, they'll keep coming back again and again. They'll tell others about what we do as well. So you need to be the same kind of person. You need to have the same set of values that I do to get the maximum impact from the Triple E framework. Because if you don't want to improve someone's life, if you don't want to make them money or change their health and whatnot, or if you don't want to share your knowledge with them, then you won't be able to succeed in this market long term. So make sure that you do fulfill this criteria. If you don't, it's okay to leave the session right now, because I can only help you if you are genuinely out there to help other people as well. Now, with that being said, I want you to stay until the end because I'm going to drop you a link later on to get our complete presentation based on this 6-figure framework. So if you start working with the 6-figure framework, it will take you anywhere between an hour to 5 hours to create a new sales presentation. And I'll give you access to this framework. It's the exact framework I used to build this presentation as well. It's the same framework I use to build any presentation I do in my business. And because of this, I'm able to create a new presentation in a record time without any copywriting knowledge, without any knowledge of things such as even what my competition's doing. As long as I know, and in your case, you know exactly what you are doing, you will be able to use this framework in your business as well. Now, our goal today is threefold. Number one, I want to walk you through our 6-figure webinar framework that will help you generate more sales like we do on webinars or auto webinars. Then I'm going to show you how to set up your own webinars in less than 60 seconds. Now, this is very crucial because if you're not creating webinars fast enough, if you're not creating auto webinars fast enough, if you're getting blocked from moving quickly, then you won't be able to succeed. And that's something I want you to be aware of, that if you want to be successful, you have to move fast. Then at the end, I'm going to give an incredible one-time prize on fast and friendly webinar software, but please do note, depending on when you're watching this, the price might have changed. And even if it has changed, trust me, it's going to be the best in the marketplace out there. So make sure you watch this entire webinar, stay until the end, get the webinar framework that I'm going to give you to download, as well as get an amazing price on a fast and friendly webinar software. And just so you know, to be able to get access to that, I'm going to ask you for $1,997. So you will have an opportunity to buy this webinar, auto webinar and meeting platform for a one-time price, hopefully still, but that's going to be at $1,997. It's actually not, but you'll be willing to pay that much after you see everything that we have put in place for you. So make sure you stay until the end and watch the entire thing. Now, before I actually give you the Triple E framework, let me first paint a picture for you to show you what's possible if you use this framework. Now, if you've never run a webinar or an auto webinar before, then this framework will give you exactly what you need to make your first $1,000 on a webinar, on a live webinar. It will give you what you need to generate easy 5-figure months, and as well, if you're interested, scale up to run paid traffic to 6 figures a year. So all of that is possible with the Triple E framework, but I want you to absorb it. I don't want you to just look at it and say, okay, no, Neil, this sounds really good. I want you to absorb it. I want you to commit to me. I want you to commit that if you like this Triple E framework, then you're going to go all in and copy paste your system in your business. So just type in I commit in the chat box. I commit that if I like the Triple E framework, I will go all in and copy paste your system in my business, because it does work. And I know it works because I'll tell you what happened with the very first webinar that I ran. So back in 2013, I co-created an email marketing product with another marketer, and her and I, we created this ebook, sold it at $37, teaching people how to get better email deliverability. And we were really happy because it was a great product. It was a product that we thought a lot of people wanted to see. Unfortunately, we missed the mark with that one, only made about 25 sales. But before going in, I promised to myself that whatever leads I generate from this, I'm going to give them extra training on a webinar, and I'm going to make them an offer they can't say no to. So based on that, I purchased access to GoToWebinar. At that time, for 100 people license, it was $199 a month. I paid that, and then I started creating my first ever webinar. And what you see right now, like the entire framework that I've used to build this presentation, I didn't have one of those when I was starting out. I went to graphicriver.net online and I bought a theme, a PowerPoint theme, and I edited that. It took me about a week to go through a lot of YouTube videos, go through a lot of copywriting training, and build an entire webinar presentation. So within a week, I had something I could use, but I didn't still have the ability to actually be there live and talk. So now the way I do it is give me half an hour to prepare, and even though I may not have a presentation, I can still talk and pitch anything live. That's fine. but I didn't have the same capability back in 2013. So it took me about another 5 days, and I prepared an entire script. And I mean an entire script where I would literally hold 15 pages of paper and read every single word. And that's exactly what I did. So come lunchtime, come webinar time, we get on a session and I see one person coming in, the second person, third, fourth, fifth, one coming in the end, sixth was me. There were only 5 people on that webinar out of 25 buyers. And holding that stack of 15, 20 pages, I started reading. I started basically reading like a robot. I was terrible. I was really, really bad. People could tell I was reading, and I told them, hey, I'm a little bit nervous because it's my first ever webinar. I hope that's okay. People are very forgiving. In fact, not just that, at the end, one person ended up buying something from me for $497. So even though my offer wasn't great, my offer really was that, hey, I'll work with you to write your email campaigns, because that's what I was doing for other people as well. My pitch wasn't that great, but I was still able to close 2 people on that webinar. The reason I'm telling you all this is because if this is a complete newbie, I can do it, you can do it as well. And for that, I need you to commit that if you like the Triple E framework, you're going to use that in your business as well, because it's worked for us time and time again. Over the last 6 years or so, we have generated over $3.5 million just from JVZoo alone. For places like Warrior Plus, Thrivecart, Zaxa, altogether it amounts to about $6 million over time. And business isn't my only focus. I'm very, very family driven. It is very important for me to spend time with my wife and kids. We actually just came back this morning from the mall where we were just in one of the play areas with the kid for about a couple of hours. And that's the most important thing to me. And I need you to understand your own why as well. Why is it that you're doing something? For me, I'm doing this because I want to safeguard a good future for my family. But why is it that you're doing it? Why is it that you want to do the same thing as well in your life? So just think about that. Make sure that you're able to create a prosperous future for you and your family as well. Now, why does the Triple E framework work so well? Before we get into that, actually, I think this is a good time to talk about the Triple E framework, and then I'll explain it as we go along. So Triple E refers to empower, engage, and excite. I'll repeat that one more time. Empower, engage, and excite. And that's the goal. When I do these webinars, nothing I've said right now will put fear in your head, because that's not how I sell. I'm not your typical salesperson. I don't force you into buying things. I don't tell you if you don't buy, you're going to fail, you're never going to succeed. It's not like that. In fact, what's important is that I want to empower you. I want to tell you that you can do it. I want to motivate you to the point that you want to do it. And tell me this right now in chat. Do you feel motivated already that you want to at least try webinars? That you're talking to the right person, that I'm not pushing you in a corner, right? So to me, empowerment is really, really important. After empowerment comes engaging. And you engage with good content. As you'll see on this session today as well, we have really good content lined up. And that will help build more trust. That will help build authority. And that will help you engage with me. And if I do that right, exciting you would be easy. Exciting would be easy because I'll present you an offer that you can't say no to. And before we get to dropping the link, you'll be like, Neil, you know what? I want to buy this. So I work from this Triple E framework, which is empower, engage, and excite. And that works for me every single time. And the good thing, as I said, is that you don't need to be a salesperson to do this. In fact, if you are one, it's a bad thing, because salespersons tend to be aggressive. They don't think about the person on the other end. They just want to get a sale. That's not our goal. Sales is nice. We're capitalists after all, but at the same time, we do want to leave a good impression on the person who's buying from us, because we want them to come back and buy from us again, or we want them to tell their friends about us. So it's important. The second thing you need to understand about the Triple E framework is that you don't need to have your own product or service to sell to make it work. A lot of people make this mistake. They feel that, hey, I need to have my own product or service to sell to basically deliver a sales message online. But that's not the case. You don't need to have your own product or service. You can simply leverage what someone else has by being an affiliate. It's quite an easy thing to do. By being an affiliate, you recommend something and you get paid without actually doing the work. And the third point, which is a cool point as well, is that you can work in your underwear. Now, I won't tell you what I'm wearing right now, but I can tell you that I'm in Finland. Last week I was in Macedonia. Next week I'm going to be in India. And you can choose to work from anywhere in the world and work at any time you want. Right now my schedule is such that I stay up until 3 a.m. because my kid's sleeping and he's a little bit restless sleeper. So I want to make sure he's sleeping fine. So I want to make sure that my wife gets a good night's sleep. So I go to bed at 3 a.m., wake up at 10 a.m. I don't need a lot of sleep. And that is enough for me. I can get to my computer anytime I want. I can walk away, spend time with my family anytime I want. And I need you to have that level of freedom as well to do things in your own time than on someone else's time. After all, you didn't get into this to be able to just work the way someone else wants you to work. You want to do it at your own time. Now, if you've been around for a while working in a job or working for someone else, you'll realize that you're always under someone's thumb. So the old way of doing things is that you're always being controlled. You're always being given leads. You're always being given script that you must read. You're always being given things that you must do. I, on the other hand, want to put more control back in your hands. So what that means is that you should be able to control things better by running webinars and auto webinars. You should be able to control things better by making sure that you give people more. So the way we do it is we do it by running webinars, and then eventually once the webinar works, once we are convinced that it's a good thing that we want to scale up, we turn that into an auto webinar that pays us even when we're busy somewhere else. So for example, when back in November I ran basically 16 webinars live in 6 days, and we generated that $221,000 or so. It was exhausting. It was really, really tiring. But now we've turned that into an auto webinar which can run even when I'm sleeping. So my team doesn't even need to be there. People sign up, they watch the webinar. If it's a right offer for them, they buy it. If it's not, it's okay. We'll still follow up with them, give them replays, use a little bit of scarcity to make some sales there as well. But everything now runs on complete autopilot. And that's how I want you to structure your business as well. But again, first you need to prove that the webinar works. So first you do the webinar, and then when you're happy with it, you turn that into an auto webinar so that continues to pay you even when you're busy elsewhere. So does that sound like a good deal? If I could teach you how to create, structure your webinars, how to present them, and then at the end of it, turn them into an auto webinar so they continue to pay you, would that be useful for you? Would that be something you'd like to do? Let me know in the chat box. Okay, great. So let's go back to the old way and the new way, because the problem with the old way, and you've probably seen that movie, it's can't remember from what movie it is. I think it's basically the concept is that it's a boiler room. There's this guy giving you tons of leads, and he's teaching like always be closing. Leads are not the problem, you're the problem, right? I don't want to work in that kind of environment. Maybe my parents or grandparents were happy to do cold calling, but I can't do that. I tried. I literally tried doing cold calls about 7 years ago before I really ventured into online marketing. Actually even longer, about 10 years ago now, I started working for this company, freelancing. They were paying $4 an hour. They would give me a list of 100 phone numbers every day I had to call. Some would pick up, some would not. They would tell me that these are warm prospects, but that was not always the case. To me personally, just doing cold or warm outreach to people is not great. It doesn't give me the best feeling when I have to call people and say, hey, do you have a few minutes to talk to me about this opportunity? That's not me. If that works for you, great, by all means go out and own it, but that's not me. So that's why I don't like the old way, and I think a lot of people are like me as well. Remember, I'm an introvert. I, as much as possible, avoid social situations. I like the idea of selling, but I can't do it one-on-one because it's just not my thing. I would rather do it one-to-many using webinars, or even better, auto webinars. One of the other problems with old ways is that you need to sell high ticket for it to be worthwhile. Let me paint the picture for you. Say if I gave you 100 phone numbers and you had to call them all of them in a day, you may only get through to 10 people, and only 5 may be interested to hear in your pitch, and only 2 may buy. Now, if you're selling something for $100, making $200 a day might seem nice, because you can basically, if you don't work weekends, make $4,000 a month. But remember, you have costs to pay after there as well if you're running your own business. So the old way, the cold calling way, doesn't really work for low ticket items. You need to be selling something for $1,000, $2,000 at a time. And finally, you need to do it even when you don't feel like it. So this is a really big issue with doing things the traditional way, whereby it's a job. You basically have to be at some place at a specific time, do a certain set of things every single day, because if you don't get paid, you don't eat that day. Remember, the whole reason why we're doing this, why you're online, why you want to be an entrepreneur, an internet marketer, is because you don't want to get stuck in a job. Because what we really want at the end of the day is to run things whenever we want, from wherever we want, and sell whatever it is we want. This is the most important thing for me, because what we don't want to do is get stuck in such a way so that someone else controls our destiny. So the new way requires you to be self-sufficient, do things whenever you want, from wherever you want, and sell whatever it is you want. And that's what I want you to believe in. Of course, if you still say, Neil, no, I like the old way, I just want to cold call people because I love talking to people one-on-one, I'm an extrovert, go for it. That's just not me, right? It's important that you only follow my training if you are like me. I can't sell to everyone because not everyone's like me. So let's break down the 3 myths I feel that are holding people back from running webinars and auto webinars. I told you about the fact that webinars and auto webinars are our secret sauce, and still a lot of people said that, okay, Neil, that sounds pretty good, but what if it doesn't work for me, right? People always have some objections. They always have these things in the back of their mind that stop them. So let's break down these limiting beliefs, and hopefully after I'm done with this section, you'll be in a position to do this yourself. So the very first thing that you need to be aware of is that you don't need to be a salesperson to make this work. As I told you early on, I'm not a salesperson. I come from a middle-class family. I don't have one of those rags to riches story like I used to sleep in my car, or I couldn't afford a pillow, so I would sleep on a roll of toilet paper. I didn't have that kind of thing. Like, I had a pretty decent life. I'm from a middle-class family, a middle-class family. There was never a lack of food. We didn't have a lot of holidays, maybe once every 2-3 years, but that was fine. That's kind of what you come to expect, right? So I'm not going to come to these sessions and pretend, oh, my life used to be so difficult, but now it's not. It was always safe. I always have that safety net. So because of that, my family always had this idea that I should just get a job because that's what everyone else did. Everyone else around them got a job, so I should get a job as well. I have no entrepreneurial gene in me. These are things I had to learn myself. No one in my family is a salesperson. These are things I had to learn myself over time. And even for me, I'm not a typical salesperson because of that. I'm not natural, I'm not aggressive. The way I tend to do, as I told you early on, is that I deliver value. So I overwhelm people with value. I make them feel like, wow, if Neil is giving us so much free stuff for free, imagine what he would do if it's a paid thing. That's how I like to approach it. I like to amaze people with all the free stuff that I have, because then when we get to the paid stuff, it will be an absolute no-brainer. And that's the kind of salesperson I would like you to be as well. You can be, of course, your own kind of salesperson, but if you want to follow my advice, then give people so much that because of law of reciprocity, they feel like, hey, I should just invest with this guy because he knows what he's talking about. So you don't need to be a salesperson to be good at webinars and auto webinars. You can take the teacher route, you can take the educator route, and still make it work. Myth number 2 is a lot of people feel that creating a webinar takes too long. Like, literally, that is the biggest dilemma. They say, hey, creating a webinar takes too long. It doesn't have to. As you can see, we have an entire framework where you can basically just answer a few questions and you can build out your entire slides by doing that. So it makes it easy for you to create a new webinar, and it will take you anywhere between an hour to about 5 hours, depending again on how well versed you are with that topic. So when it comes to creating a webinar, a lot of people feel that they need to start from scratch, and that's what I did. When I first did my webinar back in 2013, I literally went through YouTube. There were no frameworks available online. Webinars was not a new thing, but no one was actually teaching them in our community. So it took me a lot of time to go through tutorials on YouTube to learn that. Eventually I purchased this $2,000 course from Jason Fladlin. He's really good at doing webinars. So I purchased that course. It was really expensive, by the way, but I learned so much from that as well. And the key thing that I learned is that if you want to do a lot of webinars, you need to create a framework that you can reuse over and over again. Until date, I have done over 1,000 live webinars. Some of them have been repeat of other webinars, but I have done till date over 1,000 live webinars. So when it comes to selling live, trust me, I know. But again, I couldn't do it if it took me a week or 2 weeks to prepare a new presentation. So it needs to be faster. And as I said, I'll give you access to the framework at the end of this presentation as well in the chat, and you can use it there. Then myth number 3 is that you need to always run live webinars. This is a big thing as well that I used to think 5 years ago. So once I ran that first webinar where I made a $497 sales, I started doing those often, like once every month. And then when I purchased that course from Jason Fladlin, which was for $2,000, I started doing them once every week, eventually even doing 5-6 webinars every single week for different products, for different people as well. I used to run webinar as a service. But the biggest mistake I made in all that time was realizing that, or thinking that I only need to run live webinars. I need to be there live because I need to have that energy. I need to feel like this or that. But you don't need to run a webinar live every single time. If you run it a few times, if you prove it that it works, then you can automate it. You don't need to be stuck to your computer every single day of your entire life running a live webinar. You can even get sales on the weekend. So you're away, with your family, you're out in the forest taking a walk by the lake and whatnot, and you still have this PayPal notification popping in your phone saying you just made a sale. That's how you want it to be, right? So you don't always need to run live webinars. Early on, I do recommend it because it's good to get the energy in the room. It's good to get feedback from people live, but you can always turn that into an auto webinar later on. So those are 3 big things that I feel stop a lot of people from succeeding. But let me know, have I done a good job of convincing you that webinars and auto webinars are a good way to go? Do you feel confident now? Give me a yes if you feel confident that you can run webinars and auto webinars with what I've given you. So you will get the framework, of course. You have gotten inspiration that you don't need to do this live every time, as well as the fact that I've told you that you can build things fairly quickly as well. And you don't need to be a salesperson to do all of that. So let me know in the chat box. Good. Now, how about some actual training? I know what you're thinking, Neil, it's almost been half an hour already and we feel inspired, but we want to actually learn what we can do. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to give you an action plan, which means I'm going to give you a series of steps that I want you to follow as is, and you will be able to successfully create and sell using webinars as well. So let's go through the first step. Step number 1 is validating your webinar idea. Now, this is quite similar to validating a product idea as well. The concept is the same, but here's what I want you to understand. Let's say you are an expert at losing weight without dieting. That's your thing, right? You create a webinar on how to lose weight in the next 30 days without dieting. And yeah, it's exciting, but you're not the only one that's teaching that topic. There are 1,000 other people that are teaching that topic. Not just that, maybe that's not an issue that your audience faces right now compared to a big issue. So let me explain the difference. You, or anyone for that matter, if you want to do something, there's something that's stopping you right now, and then you have a bigger thing that's stopping you from succeeding. Right? So let's say in my case, if I want to lose weight without dieting, the thing that's stopping me generally is that I don't know, I don't have time to cook all the food that I need to eat healthy, right? I'm not dieting, but I do need to eat healthy. Let's say I don't have time to cook all the food that I want to cook. That's the big problem. But what's my immediate problem? If I have to start dieting tomorrow, or if I have to start losing weight tomorrow without dieting, my biggest problem is I don't know what my morning routine should be. That's the first problem, sorry. I don't know what my morning routine should be. My big problem is I have other issues like what should I cook, when should I cook, blah, blah. But my first problem right now that will stop me from starting tomorrow is what my morning routine should be. So when you create a webinar presentation to target me, to help me, it shouldn't be about, let me show you how to lose weight in the next 30 days without dieting. No, your presentation should actually call out to the first problem that I face, to the most immediate problem that's in there in my head, which will be how to start losing weight every day with this simple morning routine. And I'm like, great, I need to learn this morning routine because this is what's stopping me from starting right now. Remember, when someone wants to get fit, they're not worried about how much gym memberships will cost, what food will I have to eat, and so on. They're just saying, I don't have a plan. So if you can get people on a webinar and give them a plan, that takes care of the first problem. And for the big problem, you sell them something. So the first problem you solve for free. The big problem solution for that is going to cost you. So that's how you present your webinar idea. Your webinar idea isn't the big thing that you're solving for people, because remember, that's the one that you sell. But your webinar idea is this new thing that people can do to move one step forward. Because no one really wakes up in the morning and thinks that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to lose 50 kilograms. They feel that, okay, I need to start on the path to losing 50 kilograms, but what should I do next? So when they see your sales pitch, when they see your message which says, okay, lose 50 kilograms by tomorrow, you'll be like, that's bullshit. That's not true. But if they see a sales message that says, let me give you a morning routine you can implement every day, which will put you on track to lose weight, people are more interested. So validate your webinar idea. Now, the way we do it is, we typically ask our audience, we have an audience, we have different Facebook groups. So we'd ask them like, hey, I want to teach you about how to create a new product. What's the first thing that you feel is stopping you from doing that? What's the first thing? Not the big thing, but what's the first thing? If I was to ask you to start tomorrow and you were to sit down in front of your computer, you were to start, but you couldn't start, what would be the one thing that's stopping you? And they'd be like, oh, I don't know what idea to work on, or I don't know, how to validate the idea, and so on, right? So I can teach them a webinar presentation just on that, how to get started, how to take that first step if you're stuck. If you don't have your own audience, leverage someone else's audience. There are a lot of Facebook groups and fan pages out there. Go there, leverage them to ask people these questions and get responses from them as well. Basically validate your webinar idea. This is a really big win. Trust me, if you do this right, your attendance rate will shoot up to 25%. You will be in a position to close a lot of people on the session, because you will essentially build a story from the very first thing that you talked about all the way until the end, where you sell them the product. So validate your webinar idea. The second step that you need to do is to download the framework. So you can actually download the framework on that link. Alternatively, I'll drop it for you in the chat box as well. Download the framework I showed you earlier to teach. And as I walked you through it, it's quite easy to edit. You just need to change those things. And as I showed you earlier, you just need to change those things. And finally, step number 3 is that I want you to use meetvio to run your webinar or your auto webinar. And it's actually quite easy to operate as well. Is it okay if I take out a few minutes now to show you a demo? Just let me know in the chat box. Give me a yes if that's okay. And I'll just switch screens, and I'll pause and switch screens and show you a demo as well. Okay, great. Let's do that then. So when you first come in, you will see the calendar view, which gives you a good overview of what events you have planned using meetings or webinars and such. Now, if you want to, you can, to begin with, run a meeting. Now, this is for under 5 people, or what I quite often do is run a live webinar, or in some cases, an auto webinar. Let's go ahead and set up a new live webinar. So when you start setting up a live webinar, you'll have to fill in a few forms to make sure that we get all the important details that we need from you. For example, let's call this meetvio demo, and let's say we are doing this at UTC time, and this is the date format, and the date is going to be, let's say, 16th of January at 11 a.m. Eastern. So I'm going to go with that. Now, you also can choose to record the event, which is what I usually recommend, so that you have a recording to use later on. Then you can customize your landing page, or if you have other tools where meetvio integrates with, you can use those as well. Now, we do have Zapier as well, so if needed, you can port your leads from anywhere into meetvio or from meetvio to anywhere else using Zapier connections. But we have a built-in landing page builder for these pages. You can put your video here as well. As you want, you can change the text. You can change the text color. So let's say if I wanted to change the color scheme to this, you can do that as well. Right here you can see the color is changing. I have a slightly smaller screen, which is why I'm having to scroll down to be able to do that, but you'd be able to do most of it within one page, and you can quickly preview what your pages look like as well. Once you're happy with it, you can also choose to save your emails in autoresponder, which you will see if you've integrated with them. Now this also integrates with tools like ActiveCampaign and meetvio. Once you're happy with it, click on save and preview, and you can see what that page would look like just by going back here again. You can choose to add assistants as well, to someone who can answer questions for you during the webinar, and you can also set reminder emails. Now we take care of sending these emails for you. You can come in and you can edit these emails for reminders, and you can also add them for replays as well. Then you can create an event when you're ready. When you do, the event will get added into your calendar, and from there you can view exactly what you have coming up. So let's say if I go into December 2019, I go into January 2020. There we go. January 2020, and you will soon see that there's an event coming up at 11 a.m. Eastern, which is meetvio demo. If I click on more, I can see the registration link. So all I need to do is I need to give this link to people who want to sign up to the webinar. Let's open this up in a new incognito window. Now this is what people are going to see. People are going to see that the event starts in this time. Now, of course, I'm already logged in, which is why I see that. Let me see if I can actually open up another instance where I'm not logged in. There you go. So this is what people see, and as you will see, people can now opt in. This is a landing page that they will view, and there's a timer here as well, built in, counting down to the event. And as a presenter, this is what you see. So you have the ability to either use your camera, or you can share your screen as well using a special browser extension that we provide, which is Chrome based. Then when you're ready, you can come in and start the webinar. Presenters can join and answer questions as well, and you can also answer questions yourself while you're doing the webinar if it is not too distracting for you. All the messages will appear here. You can answer to people one-on-one, or you can bulk message them all at once as well. The chat feature looks quite similar to Slack actually, which is quite a loved application for chat services. Now, as I said, you can run both webinars and auto webinars as well. If I go in there, you will see that we also have an ability to upload a recording. So for example, I could, let's say, add a new event webinar. So we'll call this meetvio evergreen demo. You can either choose to add a video from either YouTube or Vimeo, or you can select one of the previous webinars that you have done. So that way any webinar that's in the system can be converted into an auto webinar as well. You can choose the days you want. So if you want all the days, you can choose that. You can choose the times that you want this webinar to kickstart at, so that's okay as well. And soon we'll also have the ability to have just-in-time webinars. So that way you'd be able to showcase a webinar to someone who lands on a page with a countdown timer leading up to 15 minutes. You can also choose to let people watch the webinar right now, and you can also choose to send notification to them, which allows you to essentially give people the option to select the time and date. I think it's the wrong tooltip here, but you get the idea. Then again, you've got the custom layout here for the sign-in page. Again, if you have applications that integrate with meetvio, you can also use their landing pages as well, like Kyvio. When you're done, click on create event, and let's go for this one. Just going to pick a random YouTube video. Let's see if it works from here. Create event, and you're done. That's it. That's all you need to do. If you want to go review what events you have, you can go into all. You can see all the events that you have created, not just in the calendar view, but in a list view as well. you can also go to, in this case, let's go to auto webinars, and you can see what recorded webinars or auto webinars are in place over here. If the video actually would exist, we'll grab the thumbnail from that video as well. Then you can also see live webinars, what live webinars have planned, and similarly what meetings have planned as well. We have a lot more things that we are looking to add. You can see our complete roadmap over here. If you click here, you'll get into Trello and you can see a complete roadmap right over here. And the cool thing is, I have to check with my team, but you will also be able to add things to it that you want to see, and our team can then review and see what can be done. Alternatively, you can reach out to us via support desk and we can take care of you there as well. Finally, we also have the contacts feature. This has been expanding. This is being expanded as well. So if you have people who join a webinar, you can, or an auto webinar, you can view them. You can view them based on the webinar, auto webinar. But in the future, you can also put them in different lists. And let's say if you want to run a new webinar, you can also invite one of the previous lists into that webinar, as long as, of course, those people haven't unsubscribed to your notifications. So all in all, meetvio is a very robust platform. As I said, this is backed by over 50,000 previously completed webinars with 9 million attendees. So we know exactly what kind of workload to expect. And we've been testing load testing this as well. And we've successfully tested over 3,500 people live on a webinar. And that's again simulation, but that's also including chat that happens randomly during these events. This is a demo of meetvio. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Just reach out to me, Neil Napier, on Facebook or via support desk, which is support.kyvio.com. Thanks a lot. Now that you've seen the meetvio demo, let me ask you, what if we give you our newest application to run your meetings, webinars, and auto webinars, of course, on complete autopilot at a one-time price? Now, do note that this one-time price may not be available forever. We're making it available for a limited time only, and it might go away. In fact, even when you get the link, if the one-time price is not there anymore, it means you missed it. And I apologize, but trust me, the price you do see on that page will be the lowest price available at this time. So let me know in the chat box if that's okay. Great. So the platform in question is called meetvio. It's a very, very powerful all-in-one webinar, meeting, and auto webinar platform with unlimited built-in customizable email notifications. So let me walk you through all the feature sets, show you what it has, and I'll give you a link at the end to get this as well. So meetvio has a robust built-in chat that you can use to essentially talk to people one-on-one or as a group as well. Then you also get landing and registration pages, so you can set up your own webinar and auto webinar pages. As of right now, we integrate with Kyvio, and any other landing page builder is welcome to come and integrate with us as well. Then we have a unique calendar view, which is going to make it easy for you to go out there and know exactly what events you have planned. Then you can also embed the video to pages. So without touching a line of code, you can easily embed promotional or teaser videos and thank you videos to your landing and registration pages as well. We integrate with various different autoresponders as well. Plus we have Zapier integration. So if there's another app that we don't integrate with, you can use Zapier to move leads from one place to the other. Then you can set up and run live, evergreen, hybrid, and auto webinars as well. Hybrid webinars are webinars where you can put a video in the middle of a live webinar and you can play that video in the middle as well. Then we have ultra low audio and video latency. Now this is really, really important. To me, the quality that we get on a webinar is the most important thing, because people will leave if your video or audio quality sucks. But if you have good audio or video quality, you'll be able to keep people hooked, and you'll create a good experience for them as well. So we have ultra low video and audio latency, the likes of which you've seen with platforms like GoToWebinar or Zoom. Plus, we are fully optimized for mobile viewing as well. So if you're watching this on mobile right now, you'll know that you can see the video completely and you can see the chat underneath as well. Plus, with the feature set that I showed you earlier, you also get customizable pre and post event email reminders, so you can remind people to join an event live with you. And this is entirely browser based, which means that your customers, your end users, don't need to download any app to be able to play this. Just don't use Internet Explorer. right? Other than that, you're okay. So yeah, we cover everything in the future. We have features such as polls and surveys coming up, integration with Facebook Live, as well as one-click SMS reminders to registrants coming up as well, which will integrate with Twilio. And we'll have detailed event statistics as well that shows you basically who dropped out when, and how many webinars you run, how many active attendees you have, and so on and so forth. Plus, one of the really cool features we have, which I do believe is our USP, I don't think any other platform has this, is the ability to convert your video or meeting or webinar into text, basically. Imagine this for a second. You run a webinar or a meeting, and let's say you run a meeting with a client, and within an hour of that meeting, we give you all the notes from that meeting transcribed. You can take the best of those notes and forward that to your client and say, okay, these are the 7 things we discussed, and these are 3 action points. So you'll be able to do that easily with this particular feature, which again, I think is going to be our big USP. So that's meetvio, very powerful platform for people that jump in during this one-time price period as well. We have some bonuses. So for starters, you get commercial license, which gives you the right to use meetvio to host meetings, webinars, and auto webinars for your clients, all via your account. Then we will also give you a couple of workshops. They are already available as replay. So when you purchase, you'll get an email where you can watch those 2 workshops, and you'll be able then to see how to make 6 figures with webinars like we do as well. It's a 2-part series. So if you miss it for some reason, you will be able to catch up via the replay emails that you get in your inbox. Then for bonus number 3, I give you my proven pre-registration email sequence. So not just an email sequence, but I also give you a skeleton on how to edit those. So if you follow that, you'll be able to create your own pre-registration, as well as bonus number 4, post-registration email, replay emails quite easily. And do that, and you can quite often double or triple the revenue you generated on a live webinar. So those are 4 bonuses that you get when you compare meetvio to the likes of GoToWebinar, EasyWebinar, Webinar Geo, and Zoom Big Marker. There are a lot of common features, but in many ways you're much more generous with the limits that we provide to you as well. Remember, GoToWebinar doesn't do auto webinars. Zoom, for example, doesn't really do auto webinars as well. So in that respect, we do provide you much more that isn't available in a lot of these other platforms. So that's something you need to be aware of. And the price that we have, by the way, is going to be very competitive to the other apps as well. So that's a list of all the features that you're getting inside of meetvio, and we're very open to developing new things as well. We're still relatively new compared to all our competition, which means that we can be easily molded to your vision. So in that case, just reach out to us, and we'd be happy to see what we can do to add more features to meetvio as well. Now, let's talk about the price. The price that we have available, typically we would sell this for something like $9.97. Remember, I told you that if I showed you the offer, including the bonuses, you'd be willing to pay $19.97 as well. But we're not going to charge you that much. In fact, for a very limited time, it's going to be a low $77 and $97. But please note that this price might be yearly if you are watching in later, and the price might have gone up. If that's the case, the price that you see on that page is still the lowest price you can find anywhere. So go grab it before we have another price increase. That's a very important thing as well. So click on the link below, and the link on this page basically, and you'll be able to grab that as well. Now, having said that, we do come with a money back guarantee. So in case you're not happy, you have 14 days to reach out to us and let us know, and we'd be happy to give you your money back. No problem. We might ask you for some feedback, but that's it. You will definitely have your money back. And if you need anything, just again talk to us. Our email is support@kaivio.com, or if you want to check out all the knowledge base articles for meetvio, you can go to help.meetvio.com, and you can also reach out to us via support through that media. So try it out, and let me know how it goes for you. I'm looking forward to giving you an amazing webinar platform at a one-time price. This is Neil Napier, and thank you so much for watching this. In case I missed your questions, by the way, don't worry, I will reach out to you via email to answer those questions as well. Take care.
That's it for this video. I hope you had some value and insights into how to create your webinar income machine in an easy way possible. If you learned something new from this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Moreover, if you want exclusive access to more digital marketing resources, you can visit www.thelifestylefreedom.com. It's free. Also, don't forget to check out the other videos on this channel, as well as the resources in the description. Lastly, which concept from this video are you going to try first or focus on your marketing? Let me know by leaving a comment.